Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? We learned on Tuesday that Jameis Winston is returning to the New Orleans Saints. And competitively for the Saints, I totally understand why you do this. You went into last year with Jameis as your starter. Physically very gifted. He's been a really good teammate. He is still only 29 years old. He was your starter. Andy Dalton was your backup. We know what happened. Jameis got hurt. Dalton started. Jameis sort of lost his job due to injury. I and many others assumed that Jameis would go seek an opportunity to be a starter somewhere, because it's not going to happen in New Orleans, clearly by the signing of Derek Carr. Yet we find that Jameis did, in fact, re-sign with the New Orleans Saints at a lesser contract. It's so interesting to me because I would assume Jameis would find some place where he could at least go compete for the opportunity to be a starting quarterback, which isn't going to happen in New Orleans because it's Derek Carr's job. He essentially signed a lesser contract to come to stay in New Orleans to be a backup. And so Jameis on social media today posted a note on his Twitter, which is titled, "Why I Came Back." And he explains why he made the decision to return to New Orleans. I'll read it to you. "First, I love this city. In all of my professional career, I've never felt so culturally in tune with a fan base. The Saints fans that I've met have been incredible. Y'all have made me and my family feel at home. That is why last season was so disappointing to me. I want to see this team and city succeed. I know great things are ahead for this team and this city. I was led here by the Spirit. That's why I would never run away from this new challenge. The things that led me here are still here. A stable organization, a championship caliber team, and a great fan base. This year's team, like last year's team, is built to win a Super Bowl. Let there be no doubt, I am still a championship caliber starting quarterback in this league. However, getting healthy and staying healthy is my number one priority, and I have suffered 3 devastating injuries over the last 2 years. I need to stay healthy to assist this team in getting to where we want to go. Most importantly, I need to stay healthy to get me where I want to go in my career. With that being said, I will serve and lead however I need to see this organization and city win. I'm proud to say, for one more year at least, who dat?" So, at this point, I don't know how anyone could say a negative thing about Jameis Winston. If you want to make all the crab leg jokes, and many of you have, if you want to talk about the guy who, when he was at Florida State, was jumping on the table in the student union, grabbing his crotch and shouting expletives, or when he was suspended, came out of the locker room dressed and Jimbo Fisher had to send him back into the locker room, all the things that oozed immaturity, what is evident, not by his words, but by his actions, is that Jameis Winston has matured into a very thoughtful man, husband, father, teammate, leader, all of that stuff. You want to joke about eating a W? We've all done it, and justifiably so. It was hilarious. You want to talk about young Jameis, like putting his finger in Marshawn Lattimore's face before Mike Evans crushed him? All of that was warranted. All of it. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge what he has become. And what he has become is a great leader. Someone who is, when the Saints signed Jameis Winston, this was my hope. When I said, here you have a guy that has all the physical ability in the world. From the time he was a little kid, he was a good enough baseball player to be a number 1 draft pick. He was a great enough football player to win a national championship, a Heisman Trophy, to be the number 1 overall pick. And when he went to Tampa, the first time in his life, athletically, he was humbled. And how you face that adversity and how you manage that adversity largely defines who you are. There are so many examples throughout the history of the NFL and all sports of guys who didn't handle that well. Jamarcus Russell didn't handle it well. Ryan Leaf didn't handle it well. Those are guys who were out of the league in a couple of years. There are other players that busted. They just weren't really good players, but stuck around. There's some of them in the league right now bouncing around. Jameis said, I'm going to go sit behind Drew Brees and learn how to be great. He got his body in shape. He had LASIK to fix his eyes. In many instances, that's just the difference between being a grown man who's a husband and a father who has responsibilities and things that force you to grow up, and being a young guy who's the big man on campus who thinks he's bulletproof. That's just life. Life will kick all of us in the ass eventually. Every single person listening to me, you're nodding your head in your car. I don't care who you are, where you're from, how old you are. At some point, life kicks every single one of us square in the ass. And we have to deal with it. And we all sometimes respond differently to those things. Like, you all know what I'm like. You have your own cross to bear, your own burden, whatever it was in life that you faced and had to get through. We've all done it. Every adult human has done it. Some of us even younger than others. Jameis went through it. And he's come out of it better, a better person for it. And I respect so much what he said there. Now, professionally, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, the Saints, I don't believe are built to win a championship. He's in the locker room every day. He thinks differently. Cool. I agree with him that I think he can be a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. Now, he said a championship caliber quarterback, and I don't know if that's true. He'll have to prove that somewhere. But he's not going to get the opportunity to prove it in New Orleans unless if there's an injury to Derek Carr or something goes woefully wrong, which I'm hoping isn't the case. But I can at least respect what he's saying. He's saying, I can take an opportunity this year to let my body continue to heal. He described it. 3 devastating injuries in 2 years. An ACL injury, a back injury, and a foot injury. And the back injury, it's understating it. The guy fractured vertebrae, had a broken back. So yes, take this year, let yourself get healed, and by the time you're 30, do you have another opportunity elsewhere? It's probably not going to be in New Orleans, but do you have an opportunity elsewhere as the market resets? I mean, he's essentially now taken 4 years of his prime and existed in the NFL as a backup due to other circumstances. Voluntarily for 1 year behind Drew Brees and then back-to-back years with injuries, and now he's volunteering to be a backup again. I wish him well, man. I hope it works out for Jameis. I don't know. The other thing about what Jameis said there, and he's been a model citizen, not a speck of off-the-field issues. He's been a great leader. He's been a great teammate. He's been great in the locker room. He's done everything right, from losing the weight to fixing his eyes to exhibiting patience and never being a locker room problem, despite the fact that he last year when he lost his job to injury could have made a fuss, a stink, didn't. But the other thing, too, and we talk about it all the time, is, man, if you love not just New Orleans, but Louisiana, and Louisiana culturally is so different even from the rest of the South. The South all is very similar, but Louisiana is just different because a lot of the French heritage and a lot of the things you don't need me to explain. If it's the accent or the cuisine or all the different stuff, the Napoleonic code, it's different here. It is. And we embrace the fact that we're different. And if you're from outside, that's okay. But if you wrap your arms around us, we're going to give you the biggest bear hug in the world and love you forever. That's why people like Drew Brees understood that. Zion Williamson right now understands that. Joe Burrow understood that. And they embrace the culture, and they're going to be beloved forever because of it. And Jameis, I'm not saying that he is those guys, because those guys also won at an exceptionally high level. Well, Zion still has a lot to prove. But my point is, it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from or any of that stuff. If you embrace the culture, we will in turn embrace you and love you forever. And Jameis is on his way to doing that. You make a comment like that about the city and about the fan base and about Louisiana and being culturally aligned and loving it and wanting to win for this fan base, and it resonates. It just resonates here more than it does a lot of places. So I salute him, man. I wish him well. I hope eventually he gets his opportunity to get back on the field and see if he can be a starting caliber quarterback, a championship caliber quarterback in the NFL. Love for it to happen in New Orleans, but it doesn't look like that's in the cards. But in any way, I salute Jameis Winston for making the decision that he made. Or at least for explaining it the way he explained it. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.